Hi everyone, and welcome to the second episode of this video series where I'm showing you how I created this drawing. And in this episode I'm going to be adding the shading and a bit of colour using Daler-Rowney FW ink. The colours I'll be using are Payne's Grey and Crimson, and to add these inks to the paper I'll be using Princeton Neptune brushes in sizes 0, 2 and 4. Oh, and another important thing we'll need is water, to dilute the ink and create different shading values. Another supply I used is washi tape. It isn't necessary to complete this drawing, it just helps me to keep the edges nice and clean. Before I started adding any shading to the drawing, I decided to practice with this Payne's Grey ink on a scrap piece of paper, diluting the ink with different amounts of water, and this really helped me to prepare for the next part of the drawing. For each section of the drawing, I had an idea of the kind of shading values that I wanted to add, so I would mix the ink and the water and test it on another piece of paper before adding it to the drawing. This ink is permanent and waterproof, so once it's placed, it isn't going anywhere. I started with the cliffs in the foreground, nice dark shading, and as I mentioned in the previous video, I wanted there to be more contrast between the shadows and the highlights in the foreground than in the background, to create that illusion of distance. I worked section by section, kind of like a paint by numbers, and this helped to keep the ink nice and flat, and it meant that I wasn't overworking any areas. It was really cool to see the texture of the paper through the shading. I really feel like this paper adds so much to this type of drawing. I then also blocked in the shading on the tree with a similar value, switching to the smaller brushes when I needed to work on the branches, and it was so useful being able to switch between the different brushes when I needed them throughout the process. Next, I decided to add more layers on top of that shading, thinking about where the moon is placed and placing the shadows where needed. I also tried adding a bit of a gradient in the bottom right corner, starting with dark shading and then fading it outwards by adding more water. I definitely recommend trying out gradients on a scrap piece of paper. It helps to get familiar with how the ink blends. The blanket of snow also needed some shading, so I diluted the ink a bit more and started adding shadows where the moonlight wouldn't be touching. One thing I noticed is that the ink gets lighter as it dries. You can always add another layer after it's dried if you need it to be darker. You might have noticed that I didn't add any line work to the other trees. I did this because I wanted to show the different ways in which we could use this ink on this paper, and I feel like it also helps to push these trees a little further into the background. I started with the tree that's a bit closer, adding a dark wash with less water, and I also went back over it to create more texture. I used a similar technique for the trees behind it. I just used a lighter wash that was much more diluted with water. And I'm really happy with how these trees ended up looking. I continued this process for other parts of the foreground. After working on the areas that I had, I felt more confident when building up the layers of ink where they were needed. This Strathmore toned tan mixed media paper is amazing. There were multiple times where I was concerned about the amount of ink and water I was using, especially when adding several layers. But the paper works perfectly. I've loved using this paper for several years for many different drawings and paintings, and I highly recommend it. As you can see, I added long shadows being cast by the moon. Once these were added, I feel like it really helps to set these features in the foreground. And with the foreground completed, I began working on the background, starting with the clouds and the mountains in the distance. And I added a light wash at the top and then faded it downwards by adding more water, trying to create a nice gradient. I then worked on the castle, adding dark shadows on one side, the side that's opposite the moon. Being able to switch to smaller brushes during stages like this was extremely helpful. I continued adding shading down one side of the mountain, trying my best to create a gradient, making it look like the details are getting lost in the mist. And I wanted it to create a sense of scale. I then added shading to the rest of the mountain, keeping in mind where the moon was and adjusting the values accordingly. Through this process, I was always testing the ink on another piece of paper to make sure I didn't place any shading that was too dark. I also added more shading underneath the snow on the cliff faces, similar to the foreground, adding a few layers and building up the shadows. Then, to separate the foreground and the background, I added a couple of layers of cloud in the midground, and I decided to give a light wash to each of these layers, keeping in mind how the moon would highlight the tops of them. And last but not least, I brought out the crimson Daler-Rowney FW ink for my red-caped character and the flag in the distance. And I used the same brushes for this, making sure to clean them beforehand to keep that beautiful crimson colour. And I'm really impressed with this crimson ink. It's the exact colour I wanted, and I feel like it really helps to make the character and the flag stand out. I love how this paper works so well with these inks. The texture that shows through the shading and the colouring is so nice, and I just find it so fun to work on a mid-tone background. And there we go, that's the second part of this drawing completed. In the next video, which is the final part of this series, I'll add the highlights. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.